Before he was William Desmond Taylor, he was a man named William Cunningham Deane-Tanner. Irish-born, working in New York's antiques trade. Married with a young daughters. In October of 1908, he left for his office one morning. He never came home. No note, no explanation, he simply vanished. His wife had no idea where he'd gone or why. Years later, a new man appeared in Hollywood. Well-spoken, well-dressed, deeply respected. He called himself William Desmond Taylor. Almost nobody in the film industry knew who he'd really been. Taylor built a career directing dozens of films through the 1910s. In 1917, he directed Tom Sawyer, starring a young actor named Jack Pickford. The same Jack Pickford who, 3 years later, would marry Olive Thomas. Taylor's reputation only grew from there. He was elected president of the Motion Picture Directors Association. Not once, 3 separate terms. In 1918, past the age most men were drafted, he volunteered for the British Army and served in France. He came home from the war and went right back to directing. By the early 1920s, William Desmond Taylor was, by any measure, one of the most trusted men in the industry. Taylor was close friends with one of the biggest comediennes in film, Mabel Normand. Some accounts say he was quietly trying to help her with a growing dependency on drugs. He also knew Mary Miles Minter, a rising star, 18 years old, deeply infatuated with him. Taylor, by most accounts, did not return the interest. Minter's mother, Charlotte Shelby, managed her daughter's career closely. Very closely. By early 1922, Taylor was surrounded by some of the most famous women in Hollywood, and by relationships far more complicated than the public ever saw. On the evening of February 1, 1922, Mabel Normand visited Taylor's bungalow. She borrowed a couple of books, they talked. Around 7:45 she left. Taylor walked her out to her car himself. Less than an hour later, neighbors heard a sharp sound from the direction of his bungalow. Most assumed it was a car backfiring. William Desmond Taylor had just been shot. Taylor's body was found the next morning by his valet, Henry Peavy. Police were called, but before they arrived, reports say the studio had already sent men to the house. Paramount had a great deal riding on Taylor's public reputation, and on whatever else that house might reveal. To this day, nobody can say with full certainty what was moved, removed, or destroyed before investigators walked through that door. What is certain is that the crime scene police eventually processed was not the crime scene as Taylor left it. As detectives searched the house, they found something unexpected. Love letters from Mary Miles Minter, along with an item of her clothing. Investigators also looked closely at her mother, Charlotte Shelby. She had motive by some accounts, and access to a gun of the same caliber. And in the middle of it all, Taylor's real past finally came out. The name Deane-Tanner, the abandoned family in New York. A respected man's carefully built identity, unraveling at the exact same time as his murder investigation. Mabel Normand was questioned. Mary Miles Minter was questioned. Charlotte Shelby was questioned. Nobody was ever charged. Olive Thomas died in 1920. Fatty Arbuckle was destroyed by scandal in 1921. William Desmond Taylor was murdered in 1922. 3 consecutive years, 3 careers or lives ended. Each one, in its own way, protected more by the industry than explained by it. The Taylor case is still technically an open homicide investigation. Still officially unsolved. Subscribe. Next week, a young actress was crowned the most beautiful woman in Hollywood. Her looks were the reason she got famous. They were also the reason a rare disease killed her at 29. That is episode 23.